Yeah, the main things that I was working on was, like I said, I'd had a lot of anger around Christians being Christian. Uh,
That's me.
oh gosh, I was like, who? What was happening?
I've been tracking the train schedules too, so my apologies. I'm gonna mute my
I like I've been tracking the train schedules. Like that's a super normal thing to do.
No, of course. Are you going somewhere? What are you gonna jump on board?
Practicing you being a code breaker.
Yeah.
Well, I know now when to not record.
Yeah, that's fair. But like, I like that you're like, no, I have to track it manually. I can't just like look up a manifest.
You're listening to the Janchi Show, hosted by 3 Korean American adoptees diving headfirst into what it means to be adopted, Korean American, and more. And now, here's your hosts, Nathan, Patrick, and KJ.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Great.
Oh, it's rolling.
Not it.
I'm not used to like, yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
It's not used to it.
It's fine. I'm not used to looking at the. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Janchi Show. It's your boys, KJ, Nathan, and Patrick back in the saddle after what feels like a very long time. Fellas, how you doing?
That phrase is becoming very cliche. That
Which phrase?
that this feels like a very long time that we haven't done this, or that I feel like we do this every week.
Cliche in our show, or cliche in what context?
Yeah, in our show.
What?
Because I feel like we always say that we're not used to doing this, but come on, guys, we got 110 episodes. We're practically
111 episodes.
Yeah, but the way that we record makes no sense at all. So
but people don't know that.
I know, but I know that.
But we're nothing if not the most transparent with our fans. And
True.
listeners.
Because we were sitting here talking about it right now at the very beginning of the show. So
yeah.
But that's okay.
Patrick, what does Janchi mean?
Janchi means to feast, and right?
Yes, that is accurate.
Saying it with authority, like I know what it means. Means to feast, and we do that here on the end of the show. But we took it from Dol Janchi, which is your first birthday in no.
We did not.
That's not what we take it from.
That's what Nathan said.
I said that because that's where I
he tricked me. So he subliminally posted that into
It's its own word.
It is its own word.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it means to feast. So we do that and we feast. And that is after a great, incredible discussion about and celebration of our heritages, our shared heritage, culture, and identities as Korean adoptees and the ways that they intersect with all the other different ways that we can intersect with. Does that make sense?
At first we were going to call our show the Uri Show, if you remember.
That was taken.
And that
so
was taken after, though.
Yeah, that wasn't.
Was it after?
Yeah,
it was
after. After we had nixed it, someone came in and we were like, "Oh, let's do Uri."
Yeah,
all right, cool.
So
good for
could
you.
have been us.
I'm pretty sure it's a pretty successful show.
But,
so it's totally fine. But that's what Janchi means for all the new listeners.
It means Uri. It means,
and what does
for
that
all
mean?
the new listeners, welcome. Uri means our, but in Korean, that's the way that you use like declarative ownership pronouns. So like you would never say my mother, you would say our mother, even though you're referring to yourself singular, because Korea is communal like that. I don't know, because Confucius, because philosophy. There we go.
Even if you were the only child.
Yeah, you'd still say like
our.
If you were talking about your mother, you'd say like, oh, our mother.
Oh, okay.
That's like a royal we, but not with the same type of thing. So yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, learning something every day.
So
and that was Talk to Me in Korean with KJ.
No, I'm pretty sure that's trademarked. That's a real company that we are not a part of. We're not affiliated with them at all. I would love to be affiliated with them, but we're not. Have y'all paid attention to the World Cup and to specifically South Korea?
A little bit. I watched the game that was today. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Spoiler alert.
The
if
round
you've
of
been
16.
watching it afterwards.
I think everyone knows by now. It's not a spoiler.
But you never know. Some people might TiVo that. They got to work third shift.
Can't believe
be
you said
awake during the
TiVo.
game.
Is that still a thing?
Sure.
Anyways, KJ, have you been paying attention and following the World Cup?
No, because of like all of the other issues around Qatari human rights and whatnot. So, and I just like, I don't love national football anyways, because America isn't that good. Even though we did progress through the group stage, whoop-de-doo. Once I saw that we were drawn with the Netherlands, I was like, we're not going to win that. Come on. So yeah, but no, it was cool. It was cool to see my Instagram blow up with South Koreans celebrating South Korea. That was just like really cool. But
that was nice.
I felt like I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't really care about this World Cup. Because normally I'm like, I still care about South Korea doing well. But I was like, I don't really. I mean, it's great, I guess. I was very surprised, but I was like, I can't feel that same sense of like national pride that maybe I have when I was younger. But I don't know whether to chalk it up to this particular World Cup or if it's like a flag that something in me has changed. I don't know. So yeah.
Well, this is your first World Cup post apocalypse.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I mean, we also had like Olympics and things, and I'm like, oh, South Korea. But I think I just like I'm becoming significantly less patriotic towards anything. I don't know. I've been on a whole journey inwards in a way that's just like, I'm just going to focus on myself, but like not in a cool way, just in like a, I don't know, everybody go away from me kind of way. So yeah, I don't know.
That's fair.
I guess I'm in a weird headspace. This is what I'm saying.
Why do you think you're in a weird headspace? Just got a lot going on, or?
No, I mean, I do think it's been a lot of just as I've deconstructed my identity and my philosophies, my, whatever. I'm just like, I think part of that, it's just kind of the natural fallout of all of this deconstruction is like you're untethered, like you're literally not connected to anything because you have intentionally gone through and disconnected all those lines so that you can rebuild later. So I think these kinds of like world events hit me at a moment where I'm like, I don't really feel that connected to anything. And at some point I'll get reconnected and reattached probably, but I'm rebuilding what I want to attach to, and I'm rebuilding how I want to be connected to things, So I think mostly that's what it is. It's just kind of a natural progression of my own journey to rediscovering who I am and who I want to be. #the fray.
Do you feel like
insecure?
You found me?
You found me.
Do you feel like you're still in that stage or that process of deconstruction, not yet into rebuilding? Or do you feel like you do, like you go through rebuilding as you deconstruct? Or does it even work that way?
I think it's like if you okay, if you have a Lego set and you throw away the instructions, or maybe you only have the instructions and you know what you're building, but you didn't actually get any of the parts, and so you have like all of these parts and you've got like multiple other Lego sets. And you're like, all right, so I'm going to like just break all these down and then try to find the pieces that go together. And you're like, well, this one's like almost the right size, but it's not quite the right, but can I get away with it? So you like, you put those things together and then you're like, nah, that's not quite right. And then you deconstruct it again. And you're like, okay, so let's try this new configuration. I feel like that's kind of what it is. Like that makes sense. It's a step forward, step back type situation. But also I think at this point, because life has been busy enough, I got to a nice place of like most of the things being like sorted and organized, but still on the ground and not reconfigured. But then life got busy. So I've not been in an active state of reconstruction. I've just been like a chilled out and like, well, things are deconstructed, but I haven't begun to rebuild yet. I haven't had the time to do that. So
yeah. I like that analogy because
thank you.
Like you said, you're going into a stage where you might not have all the pieces. So you compromise, you find a way of getting a different piece, a substitute piece, because that's what life is about, running into obstacles that you don't expect. And then you find out at the end of your build that you finished the set and there's so many more sets to build. And you have a new one to build now.
To be clear, Nathan only likes this analogy because I chose to use Lego bricks as an example.
And he's also pivoted his camera to show us the Legos in the background.
Yeah, if I had chosen like Roblox, I'd be like, I don't care.
What?
So prior to getting to your chilled state, where life is busy, your busy state, I guess. Before you were put on ice, Captain America.
I was thinking a nice white wine, but okay.
What if you don't mind sharing, what sets do you feel like you were in the process of deconstructing, or things that you were really working on at that point prior to being like, I don't have time for this right now?
I think the things that I've been working on were I was really angry at Christians being Christian, which is super unfair to Christians. They're just living their life, and like they don't deserve all of this anger that is super unrelated to them. Just like if someone is super passionate about a thing, like you should be allowed to have that thing. So I've been working on like chilling myself out with that, and it's being okay with how I was thinking about religion and what my personal theology has become. So that was the main thing I was working on. And then also, I think in the midst of that was like, well, let's imagine for a second, dare we imagine for a second that there is no God? What is the reason for being a good person? Because my only construct of ethics and morality was around the existence of a divine being, right? Like Christianity philosophically needs sin to like exist kind of as a world religion and as a moral philosophy. And so I was like, well, okay, I don't know if I'm really down with this particular concept of sin. But that really destroys everything about how I was thinking about like, what does it mean to be a good person? What does it mean to do, whatever, this, that, and the other. And so I've been reading hilariously for about a year now, a book that or maybe half a month or half a year, whatever, a book that my sister-in-law gave me on kind of philosophy. And it tackles like everyday questions from the lens of different philosophers. It's called What Would Marx Do? And it's really fun and light and whatever. It's kind of like reading The Good Place, but less funny. And so that's been a fun thing for me to think around too, is like, all right, so actually here's some other philosophers. What do they say about ethics and how should I live my life and that kind of thing? So I guess generally that's where I was. And then I stopped. So it was kind of that separation of concerns, is like, is there reason to be a good person without the punishment of hell in the afterlife and the promise of salvation in the afterlife? And if so, what does that look like? And also at the same time, can I tell myself to calm down while myself is telling Christians to calm down? And just be like, just everybody calm down. Everybody be chill. So,
Well, in that theory, though, if the only thing that holds people back from being bad is the possibility of a hell or something down the line, what about the millions of people who are not religious, who are atheist or even agnostic? They're not bad people. I mean,
right.
Some of the bad people are people who do have religions and who do follow certain things. And I don't think, for me, this is something that we've actually been talking a lot about lately. I don't know if you saw, my wife posted something. My 6-year-old first grade son has a project about religion,
moral philosophy.
Yeah, they're talking about the three main religions, that the three most popular religions, I guess. And they're just doing studies on it. They're not teaching it. So Islam, Judaism, and Christianity.
Oh.
And so they're going to talk about those three. And I know I would have my wife's family, they kind of were raised Buddhist. And so and that's how I think I would want some of my kids' futures to be more in tune with, because I like their philosophy. I like the way that they talk about, it's not about going to hell. It's just about being enlightened into being a better person, to be a better person.
Mm.
And there is no fear-based, theology behind it, which I feel a lot of religions are. They're all just fear-based.
I don't know that a lot of religions are fear-based, but I know that there are many frameworks and mental models for considering like the morals of humanity. I actually was talking with our previous guest, Beth Perkins. Sarah and I were talking with her and her husband, and they're atheist or agnostic, one of the two, not religious. And they were talking to their daughter about like the afterlife, what happens, how you explain that. And I was just like, yeah, in that conversation, I realized, I was like, without God, I have no framework for being a good person. I have no mental model for like why that should matter, beyond the fact that like, well, Jesus was a good person, so I want to be a good person like Jesus, right? But then if you're like, well, okay, so let's just like set aside all of Christianity, right? And then it's like, are you still a good person? And if so, why? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I guess I don't have to be, but I still feel like I should be. So that, you know what I mean? And I think that it's exploring those things and watching The Good Place, like the first time and just enjoying it. And then the second time I was like, all right, I wanted like comfort food and that was a fun show. But then the third time I was like, all right, so actually, what are some of the philosophical ideas that present themselves in the show? And can that help me be a gateway to being a good person without, because it's generally agnostic, right? Like they just talk about like they use maybe a Christian idea of like heaven and hell in The Good Place and Bad Place, but like generally it's like pretty agnostic in terms of which religion it adheres to. And that's on purpose. And so I was like, all right, so what can I do and how can I be a good person without needing a divine being, needing either some like promise of salvation or promise of enlightenment or promise of reincarnation or, you know, whatever that is, like, you know, just to figure that out. And so I think that was such a large part of deconstruction, you know, is like, how do I want to re-enter the world? You know, even like the early days, it was like, all right, so what is racist in me? And like, how can I become anti-racist? And now it's like, what do I, and this is like such a deep, like Christianity has been such a deeply held identity that it's taken a long time to really deconstruct those things. And there's a lot of like internal kicking and screaming at that. So I'm like, that's why I'm also at the same time trying to continue to be gracious towards people who are still super devout believers, because I'm not that. And I'm like, can't you see? But I don't want to be that person either, you know, whatever. So yeah.
Well, you can't build bridges by, you know, being confrontational. I mean, I guess people might argue too that is it worth building those bridges for, you know, certain people who may not be able to get there. But I think I commend the route you go of offering grace, because I think that's a good way to model, you know, how we can move forward in those ways and in our own personal paths of deconstruction.
Yeah.
So
thanks.
So I actually talked to Zach Lubin a little bit about it as well, and he suggested
about this very topic that we're talking about on the show.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
And he said, "Well, I was just more along the lines of getting more information for my kids and just for ourselves, so that we can talk to our kids about it."
He's a significantly more of a theologian than I am.
Yeah.
So,
and he suggested a book called "God Is Not One," and it talks about a lot of different religions and their framework. And I guess the author is kind of coming from an agnostic standpoint as well, so it's not super biased or in any one direction. But definitely, I'm going to check it out, because I feel like I'm lost if somebody would ask me, you know, like my kids right now are trying to learn about these three. If they ask me the differences, or the similarities, I don't think I would be able to tell a whole lot about them, other than who they think is the main, you know, God.
The guy.
Yeah, the guy.
Or it.
That's the only thing I know. And so I'm thinking that it would be a good idea to learn a little bit more about this. And because I was raised Christian, I was Episcopalian, I went to church, I went to camps, I went to Bible studies. And so, you know, was that the reason, you know, I'm somewhat of a good person? You know.
I mean,
I don't know.
Like it had probably provided a framework for what being a good person was. And a lot of what you do is based in that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it's probably good. Some of it's probably not good because of what it's tied to or how it came about. I grew up Christian as well. But like, I think for me, I was exposed to multiple forms of Christianity from when I was like in kindergarten to I was a senior in high school. Just like we went to all different types of churches trying to find the right church. I think that really jaded me to just Christianity and religion from, I don't know, just a general perspective. Because once I got to Catholicism, I was in a Catholic grade school, and it was very othering to me, because every Friday we had to go to Mass, and we would do communion at Mass. But if you weren't Catholic, then you couldn't go up and do it.
You got to throw up the X, but you still have to get in line. You still have to wait. And then you get to the priest or the nun, and you're like, "Oh no, I gotta throw."
Oh no, we did not get up in line. We just had to sit in the pew by ourselves. Super weird. Like, and it was just like didn't make me feel good.
Even better, yeah.
But the harmful part of that was that I was like, "This is where all my friends are." So now I have to be that, and it made me feel like I don't know. It's just an example to me of that desperation to fit in, that desperation to be accepted. And, but coming out of that and then going to like the Methodist church, going to like apostolic church, just running the gamut of whatever, because for whatever reason, we have just tons of different denominations in where the town I grew up in. It was just, I don't know, it was just a lot. And it just made me feel like you all believe the same thing, but there's just your version of the same thing. And it just made me, I don't know, just very jaded. And I think that's why I was always considered agnostic. I consider myself agnostic, just because I do believe in something else. I don't know what that is. And I think I'm ill-equipped to be able to define what that could ever be.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it seems logical that there would be something, but it's hard
Or
to know.
doesn't it?
but again, I just say I don't know. I hold my my history and the way I was raised to my parents and not to the church for me specifically. So, but I again hold no grudges or any hard feelings to anybody who does. I plenty of people who still go to church and who I know and who go to different types of churches and different types of religions, and again to each their own. So.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too, is like, I think there's still so much that's really beautiful about Christianity. And so like when I talk to Christians who I personally don't perceive them as believing rightly, I'm like, be better. And that's the part where I'm like, well, I should just be more gracious instead. You know what I mean? And so I think that's where I'm like, because I have the privilege of being like, not an expert, but like definitely like semi-pro in Christianity, especially for like the quote unquote average Christian, I say, like, I'll out Christian anyone, but it's just like some of that is inherently like, man, I wish that it was, I just wish they believed differently. I wish they thought differently, whatever. Like, because even at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of my philosophy that will be defined by Christianity, but it's like, it's good. I think that Jesus, and like, if you were just to take him as like a philosopher, I think he provides a way forward that like is really powerful, is really good, is a wonderful way of being. Maybe it doesn't scale the way that what we would hope, but yeah, like just his like core teachings and his way of being, I think is good. So I'm like, man, I wish that this was different. So it's hard to do that. And I do want to be able to be clear enough of mind to be able to then disseminate it to my children in a way that is informed and shaping without like choosing or forcing for them, Yeah. And I think that's just kind of like, I don't know. I think because like Sarah and I like are thinking about kids, especially like having moved into a house and that's always been on our mind too. But like, given the past 2 years, I've just been like, I don't know, like my thoughts on raising children have changed a lot. Even I think, from a young age, I was just like, I'm so excited to have like blood that is my blood, and like that's just always been so important to me. But now it's like, okay, if I'm going to have a kid, then I don't just want them to be like related to me. I want them to be good humans and humans who like help move the world forward. So like, what's the best thing that I can do to shape them, to like build essentially the most resilient kid, not like the smartest kid or the most right kid or whatever, but just like things are always going to change. So are you prepared to do those things? Are you prepared to be wrong graciously and then take a new step for, whatever, like those kinds of things. Like those types of questions are more important to me now than like, will he have my eyes, my way with words? Will he look like me at all?
Yes.
Well, I think you're answering those questions by going through that deconstruction process and you're prepping yourself.
I'm trying to.
Well, yeah, but that's, I'm not a parent. Nathan, you might be able to speak to this a little bit more, but as you become a parent, like you will still only be trying to help your child in whatever way to answer those questions or to at least ask those questions and be thinking and be mindful of that path. I don't know, Nathan, what do you think? Is that?
Yeah. Well, that's why I was saying I need to read this book that Zach sent me so I can be more mindful and intelligent about these topics.
You're like,
to
Zach,
pass
is there
that
like
on.
a TV show?
There's a YouTube video. He sent me that too.
Yeah, I was like, is there like a 15-minute YouTube clip?
There's also an audio book. So trust me, I've looked into the options.
Nice. Like, Zach, I gotta watch this on the go.
I know.
I mean, he's a parent too. He gets it.
Yeah.
So.
So, but I want to learn for my kids because, my parents, I hold at a very high level of intelligence. I think they are very bright and they did a really good job of raising me. And so maybe this is a self-esteem thing. I'm like, I don't think I'm as smart as my parents. So does that mean I won't be able to teach my kids to be as, will it be a level down again or something, so forth. But they've already been proving me wrong. So they know so much more than I pretty much knew at their age. So I'm still hopeful that it doesn't matter. They will soak in and absorb things from outside sources, not just me. So I'm happy that is possible. But
I do go through that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm trying to learn for them. But I was actually gonna ask you as a possibility for the future, future parent and stuff. What are you thinking about like religion and your kids, or both of you? I guess can answer that question. So
who are you asking? The first
both
part.
Of you, either of you can go first, Patrick.
Well, you said you were going to ask. I was going to ask you, but I couldn't tell if you were talking to me or if you're talking to KJ. I'm assuming you're talking to me now.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go first.
I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea. When it comes to religion, I think that's honestly one of the last things on my mind. I won't speak for Emily. I don't know what she's thinking, but I would say, I'm generally non-religious. I don't have really all my qualms with religion at all stem from just my own past. And I think like you're doing, I want to be informed when it comes to how will I pass that along. So I have a lot to learn. I would consider myself religious ignorant. I know surface level of maybe each or many different types, but not more than that. And I feel like that's not a good way to go about sharing and spreading information by just only knowing parts of the story. So, I have a long way to go in terms of like informing and learning myself. But what I was going to say is like your kids, they're going to watch you go through that learning process. And just by them watching you model what it's like to learn and to either deconstruct or just expand your own knowledge, they're going to pick up on that. And I speak from being married to an 8th grade teacher who I've watched these kids do those things over the course of even just one school semester. Like kids pick up on that stuff, and your kids are obviously much younger than that. So It's like, as they see you do, that's generally, I think, probably for the better, but, sometimes I guess it could be bad. But as they see you do those types of things, I would only assume that, like you said, they're going to absorb and learn, and hopefully that's what you want. That's the direction you want them to go.
Most of the learning is coming from Allison, so I let her be the captain of the education. So,
Nathan, I'm curious. Can I circle back to something you said? You said you felt like you were not as smart as your parents, and I'm curious how that.
I took an IQ test, and they took an IQ test, and we compared.
Very literal.
No, not like that. I'm curious, like how that does that motivate you? Does that just like dishearten you in terms of like, I think generally how you related to your parents as an adoptee? Was that like a shrug your shoulders and be like, well, it is what it is? Or you're like, oh man, that like just makes you like think more deeply about the reality of your being an adoptee? Or, you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm asking?
So we were saying, do I relate the intelligence at all to?
Yeah, I'm asking you because, like, to me, I don't know that, like, I never really compared myself to my parents because I'm adopted. But it sounds like to you, from what I heard from you, you were like, oh, I did compare myself to my parents. And I'm just curious, like, how much of that is just like, they're just my family, and how much of that is like, particularly through you being an adoptee, do you feel that comparison more poignantly or less poignantly because you have that adoptee lens to view it through?
I wouldn't be able to answer 100% on that, saying that I compared ourselves, or my parents and myself, because we are physically different, blood different, and all of that. I don't think that's where my comparisons would come from. I think my comparisons just came from that he was my role model. My dad has kind of been the person that I've always looked up to. My mom and her knowledge in art and English and a lot of other topics that I've never been very strong in, whereas my dad was kind of strong in the science and math divisions and sports. So I always took little bits from each of my parents. And when I say smart in a general form, I'm not saying, I mean, I'm probably smarter in technology than they are.
Yeah.
I'm
they got
I'm the smart
1,400 on the SAT and I got 1,375. Okay. I'm like right there. It's fine.
It's good. But they are just very intelligent. They beat me at Scrabble all the time. No, they do know a lot more words.
Words are friends.
They read a lot. I don't know. So I say that just, I think my parents are very well, they have a lot,
a cornucopia of knowledge.
Yeah.
They have many encyclopedias.
Many encyclopedias. Many leather-bound books.
Yes. A room smells of rich mahogany.
And so yeah, I mean, they have a different degree of intelligence than I do. So I just want to make sure that I have enough as well to pass on to my kids. And I may pass on things, that are completely different than what my parents passed on to me, which I'm almost for sure on that one. But I want to pass on other things than just, photography skills or Lego building skills or playing sports with them.
Skills, bow hunting skills.
Lego building engineering, those are good. Those are skills.
Hey, Dad, give me some of your tots.
Yeah. Don't tell him, but he's getting a robot for Christmas, but don't tell him.
He's heard this on the episode now.
He's listened to his podcast.
Yeah.
He's left us a lot of reviews.
I picked up on that too, though, that you said that, Nathan, and I actually took it, and I don't think that you were saying it in this way either, but I took it as like a worthiness thing. And I think I only took it that way because I've been thinking about that a lot. I've been writing about it a little bit over the last few weeks of Nam. And just thinking about the different ways and how I would feel unworthy growing up, and how like that unworthiness would lead me to, again, part of that rejection of my identity, which would lead me to not feeling like I could speak up for myself whenever like an aggression or racial aggression happened, or I couldn't, like I wasn't going to ever complete something like college, for example, because I didn't graduate from college. I didn't feel like I was worthy to graduate for a number of different reasons. I don't think that I knew that at that point, but I felt like it was just ingrained and in me just being adopted, and that just being just like subtly, subconsciously reinforced through the interactions that I would have like with my family or out in the community. And not that they were like consciously trying to make me feel that way, but that's just how I was taking it, because it didn't feel like I could live up to whatever it was, because I was just so different as a transracial adoptee.
So are you saying that you just felt othered very often, like just in kind of daily life? Is that
right? And then it was just like an internalization of that othering, because it was so often.
Right,
and
because
then,
other, you just equated other with less than.
to work. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Being othered was less than, yes.
Yeah.
So no, it's never really motivated me to be smarter or learn more or read more. Really, I mean, I would say that
I'm incredibly lazy.
I think everybody can be themselves.
He's like, C's get degrees, and I got many C's.
You take too many chances to say you don't read much. You
gotta, I mean, the tallest blade of grass gets cut by the lawnmower first. So.
Wow, that's a very Oklahoman take on a Chinese proverb that I've heard. That's funny.
That's hilarious.
But do you have any hesitations to Christianity based on your own adoption, or the implications, of that? I guess of some people blame, Christianity for them being adopted.
Oh, no, because I loved being Christian for a long time. I never thought I would leave. I mean, I don't know that I've like definitively left, but there are definitely some people in the Christian umbrella who would call me a heretic, and I'm totally okay with that. Because I mean, that's just where I am on my journey, and I don't hold, at this point, I don't hold anything really that precious because hilariously, to throw some Bible at you, like Ecclesiastes, like who it's like the author is attributed to Solomon, right? And like it opens with like everything is meaningless, right? And I think I've just really come to that in a philosophical understanding of everything is meaningless. One of the pastors that I used to work with was like, that's the beauty of that verse, everything is meaningless, is that God then steps in and provides divine meaning. So, and I think that if you were to take divinity out of that, right, it's like if everything is meaningless, then it is on us. It is our privilege. It's our opportunity. It is our impetus to then provide meaning to moments, you know? And so I think that it's been really like, it's fine that I don't mind being called a heretic because I'm just like, here, this is where I am right now. And I don't hold Christianity so dear. I don't hold anything so dear that I'm not willing to lose it. But while I have it, I really, really appreciate it because who knows, you know? And so so that's kind of where I am. And because I never thought I would, I mean, yeah, I don't harbor any ill will towards like Christianity from an adoptee perspective in that sense, because I'm like, I mean, it is a thing that I love. It's made me who I am, and it's provided me a really solid foundation. If it weren't for Christianity, I don't think that I would question things as much. If it weren't for Christianity, I don't think that I would like ruminate on like higher levels of thought, you know, like outside of just physical, like, what am I going to do this weekend? Or like, what are the bill, you know, anything like that. But it actually like helps me enter into higher levels of conversation and deeper levels of thought and, like self-awareness. It's provided a lot of really wonderful rituals. Like one of the weird things that I have like right now in my deconstruction is like I don't really know how I feel about praying because I am good with the idea of a divine being. I don't know if that divine being is God as I have historically understood him. I don't know if that's God as like the Abrahamic faiths would understand it. So Islam or Judaism or Christianity or even like God. And I think I lean more towards a Hindu type thing, like a pantheism, like God is in everything, but not necessarily, you know what I mean? So it's like, so I don't know, like, but when I say the word God, I picture the Christian God, not like, I don't have like that image in my mind, you know? So I'm like, I'm working through, that's like what I'm trying to like figure out. But the ritual of praying is still very important to me in the same way that like in the fun animes that I watch, like before a meal in Japan, they say like, thank you for the meal, you know, like that there is a ritual around meal times. Even like I started doing yoga because I like subscribed to Apple Fitness Plus free trial. And I was like, oh, actually, this is really nice. Like that. But there's a ritual within yoga of like bringing, like focusing on breath and like practicing gratitude, whatever, even watching like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Apparently I watch a lot of cartoons. There is still like this focus on breath and movement, being connected to in their universe. It's the spirit world, you know, whatever. But yeah, so I don't, all that to say, I don't hold Christianity like generally. I'm not like, Christianity because of my adoption. But I'm also like not really in that. And I think that's come a long way. However, I will say when I hear of new adoptions with Christians, I just like bleh, because it's just so steeped in saviorism and like, for lack of better words, just like goody two shoeism. And you're like, look at me, I'm doing this wonderful thing and I'm just like, I don't care about you. I don't want to hear this. This is not the thing. I'm actually deeply concerned about the life form that you're bringing in and whether or not you're prepared to do that for your, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's a big part of this show and having done this now, but not like, I know, not specifically around Christianity and adoption, like you were asking, Nathan.
Patrick, any thoughts?
I mean, the thing that I was thinking about the most was when you talked about praying as a ritual and like coming back to that, because as a generally non-religious person, I do find myself coming back to prayer certain times. And generally, I would say in like heavily emotional moments where like there's loss on the line. And I think that's kind of a natural reaction for people who probably either grew up religious or Christian specifically. And so I don't necessarily think I would consider it a ritual, but it is, I don't know, it just made me think about those times where I would step back into that mode. And I guess I don't know. Should I consider that a good thing that I've taken away from it, or is the prayer coming out of an act of desperation, and that's not good? I haven't thought about it that way.
Yeah,
or haven't thought about it at all, to be honest.
My hot takes. I think prayer is a really wonderful thing. It's a way of focusing a meditation. If you were to like just to take religion totally out of it. It's a way of focusing meditation. And sometimes like the idea of like I think the reason that like diaries are effective is because like you can write and like your diary is the manifestation of a person without actually needing a person, right? So it's like you could just write to no one, right? You could blog or whatever, but like actually having that type of like manifested incarnated idea helps the mind focus and helps you then move through what you need to move through, right? So even if it is desperation, in the case of I don't know, if someone's feeling super sick, or if you're feeling overwhelmed, or I don't know, a global pandemic occurs in your life, you lose all your money for some reason, whatever it is, right? In that desperation, even still, like crying out to the universe can focus yourself, and it provides relief by focusing your emotions to this point that comes out as a prayer, even if it's not directed at a specific deity or, whatever, Mother Earth, if you will, however you think about it. I think other rituals are curious when they are religious, but you yourself are not religious. Like we're coming up on like Christmas, and living in America, there's no escaping Christmas, but then like there's like, but there's a world where like, you do Christmas and totally as an atheist do Christmas. And even still sometimes like the ritual of going to church is important. The ritual of having a Christmas morning is important. The ritual of like the foods that you eat, the conversations and or arguments that you get into with your family, but like, like the ritual of family gather, like I think that rituals provide ways for us to move through life. And so, so it's interesting to think about like, what is the ritual of, like kind of on a macro level, like of the holidays and whatever, but then also just on a daily personal level. Like for us, it's like praying before meal times, praying before bed, praying as we gather with the family. Also, most of my family is religious anyway, so like there's no get away from that. But you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I don't like, I'm grateful for the ritual of it, and I'm excited about the prospect of adding more and not strictly Christian rituals to my life to enhance my life.
Sure. Well, those rituals act like those capstones or those touchstones of like your own personal journey. So from a macro level, you can view yourself in that micro sense of how have I changed between those? Because generally, like you said, the actions remain the same. Just everyone is probably just a little bit different or older or whatever the case might be. Well, I guess you probably always will be older at the next holiday. I hope. Or we've advanced in ways of science that I have been unprivy to.
Yeah.
So with the project that we have to teach our son, or just talk to our son a little bit about the religions, we haven't really told him much about Christmas, other than that we celebrate Christmas. We haven't told him the background behind it, the
real
origin.
Meaning of Christmas.
Exactly, right? Isn't that, I could get
the
out
real
that movie
origin,
or
how
something.
Santa gets to every Christian household
Exactly.
in
approximately 14 hours.
So we're hanging out on the
It's not
playground.
ethical. Those elves are not in a good place.
So we're hanging out on the playground, and this little girl starts talking to Kelvin about Christmas, and she's like, "Oh, are you excited? It's almost Jesus's birthday." And Kelvin goes,
Cue music.
"Cool."
Happy
He's like, "Cool."
birthday, Jesus.
he just says, "Cool." He's like, "Neat." Like
is
great
Jesus like
that
your
you
friend?
have a friend. Yeah, you have a friend named Jesus whose birthday is coming up. That's how he took it.
is a friend of
Because I was standing right there,
mine.
and I was like, "Oh man, we have to like talk to him about this because he's gonna, I mean, he needs to know so he can make his own decisions. B, he still believes in Santa, so we got to find a way of doing it. So
So he knows of Santa, but not the holiday of Christmas,
Correct.
or okay.
No, he knows
not-
Santa. He doesn't know Jesus.
he doesn't know that that it stemmed
Oh,
from
that
Jesus'
makes
birthday.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like,
So-
wait, I don't
Yeah.
understand. I understand.
Because-
my Christian triggers just went off when I said that, and I was like, oh no, I gotta calm down. He doesn't know Jesus? Have I got a story for you?
I'm on the next plane
Cue
to
the
Denver.
music. If you
Yeah,
like,
I'm just gonna let him call you.
talk to tomatoes.
He's gonna call you. He's gonna call Uncle KJ, and he's gonna tell you the origin
If
of Christmas.
squash can make you smile.
Only if you sing that song.
Do you know that song?
I've heard it, but
Oh,
mainly
man.
because it's like running around on TikTok right now. I think,
Yeah, I was
too.
gonna say it's like you probably weren't the right age, but yeah,
No.
VeggieTales was the best.
I thought that was a VeggieTales.
Yep.
Nope.
Classic.
Up
Never saw it.
and down the produce aisle.
I did watch Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
Exactly.
That
Someone help me
sounds
out.
Oh man, I don't remember what the show is. Yeehaw? No.
What?
There was
Isn't that like an
there's a
old
show-
school
Yeah. It's like
TV
an
show?
old sketch show
Yeah.
about like hillbillies.
Oh, Hee Haw.
Yeehaw, yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I was like,
Hee Haw.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That and the Benny
I mean,
Hill
it
show.
still fits, I feel like.
Okay, aging myself. Let's move on. How about a snack, guys?
Snack
All
sounds
right,
great.
we can do a snack.
All right.
All right, well,
Yeah.
we will go ahead and cut to the snack, maybe.
VeggieTales, VeggieTales.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show food portion. Today,
Food portion.
food. Today, we're eating some white mushroom chocolate things.
Yes.
I don't know. The guy looks, the little guy on the front looks happy. I don't know what it's called.
All
It's
in
by
Korean.
Orion.
Yeah. So the Korean, I
Orion.
think, is Hayang Songi, but it might be. No, it has to be Songi. So I don't know what that means. But the little character, oh, I just realized we're not doing video. That's okay. Little character, it says Dalkomhan Hayan Chije, which translates to sweet white cheese. So I thought this was
Okay.
going to be a chocolatey thing, but it might be a cheese.
Yeah,
thing.
it does say on the back in English, Choco Boy cheese.
Choco Boy. So it's
So
a
is that-
Choco Boy.
So
That's
that
very
guy on the
confusing.
little front is a Choco Boy. I don't know. He looks
gonna
French
assume-
to me.
He does look French.
He's wearing
Is that like
a
well? No, he's
beret?
got the beret, and but he's
Yeah.
also got the blue horizontal stripes. That
Sure.
just feels like maybe I'm just being not racist,
Yeah.
but like nationalist. Is that right? Prejudice towards French people?
I
Yeah.
don't know. No,
France, I'm sorry.
Oh, the smells cheesy.
It's
It
cheesy.
smells cheesy.
It smells cheesy. Oh no.
Does not
Alrighty.
look cheesy, though.
But they look like, oh goodness. It did smell like cheese when I opened that. Wow. It looks like little chocolate mushrooms though. So
More like
They're
white cheddar mushrooms.
White chocolate.
white
yeah,
chocolate. See, I mean, we can't always eat chocolate in tasty strawberry
Yeah,
flavor.
otherwise I would quit the show. Oh, this
This-
is like a pre-dunk Dunkaroo.
This is 100%. This is what that is. This is a cheese stick packets.
Oh, interesting.
There's a cheese cup, and then you have the little breadsticks, and you dip the breadstick in.
Yeah.
Definitely the same breadstick.
Yeah.
What? What did I just put in my mouth?
I feel like there's chocolate in it, but has to be chocolate.
Tastes like a Ritz. Cheese at Ritz. Ritz
I'm
cheese.
It's so
right.
funny. One of the ingredients is strong cheddar cheese powder.
It tastes
Strong.
like white chocolate.
Yeah, but it with a little cheesy aftertaste to it.
I feel like I'm getting the cheese up front, chocolate on the back end.
I'm definitely
Yeah.
getting cheese on the nose.
What?
Cheese on the nose, like I smell it. It's just all
Oh.
cheese.
Yeah, it's messy.
But I mean, I'm not like not eating them.
I'm gonna put this whole glop one in my mouth.
Whoa,
Yeah, I don't. This is really hard to explain.
I know.
This expired on Halloween of 2022.
Thanks for throwing that one in there.
So that was fun.
Not my fault, people.
It's only been a month. It's fine. The chocolate of these is years,
I'm gonna chase it with some fish and chips.
probably.
Probably. We don't know.
It's all right. I probably ate a raw egg tonight for dinner. So, whoops.
How do you think that you may have done that?
Well, all right. Unrelated to the food portion, but we're in the food portion. We're making a dinner, and there is egg. It's a zucchini lasagna. So instead of pasta, it's zucchini.
Mm-hmm.
Inside of the cheese layer, I guess, is egg. I didn't know that, so we put it in the oven to bake. But I was like, I got to do a show. The cheese looks melted. I'm gonna pull it out and eat it. It only been in there for like 7 minutes. So, whoops.
It's okay. I mean, if
we don't come out with an episode next week, it's because I've been down for the count.
Well, if it's a good quality egg, it's fine because people eat raw eggs all the time.
Oh, all right. So Walmart, let's see what you're giving me.
Oh.
2 hours later.
I was gonna say Whole Foods, you're probably okay. Walmart. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See how you can do it.
It was a brown egg, so hopefully that helps.
Sure.
All right, I already ate all mine.
Oh, well then you can rate it first.
I'm gonna rate this a 3. I don't really. KJ hit it on the head when he said, I don't know how to describe this because I don't really know how to rate it and give a description for why I'm rating it a 3. I want to like it less for some reason.
Yeah, I know.
What?
But it's
like
fine.
You're mad that it kind of works.
Yeah.
But it's also so confusing that you can't.
Yeah, because when I think what's really informing my rating right now is when I first opened the package, the cheese smell was so overwhelming. Yeah. That it just tainted like everything after that, even my taste receptors. So, but however, the taste in my mouth is not terrible. And it's not too cheesy, but it is cheesy. And I feel like I don't want cheese on this. So I think that's why I'm wanting to like it less. Because I don't want the cheese to be there, but it's there. And it also doesn't taste terrible. But I've ate them all, so I can't try anymore. I can't go any further and figure it out. So
I can't dislike or like them anymore. They're gone.
3, that's it.
Interesting. I'm going to give it a 2.5 for the exact same reason that Patrick gave, except replace every time he said cheese with chocolate. I like the cheese.
Okay.
But I can't get this chocolate out of my mouth. It's a white chocolate. It's not like a super, it's not a super sweet white chocolate, but it tastes like cheese. It smells like cheese. It tastes like cheese. It finishes like chocolate. And that, I can't get that out of my brain. So it's really throwing me for a loop and not in a fun way. I want to like it less or more. I don't know. I'm angry that it's like super middle of the road. So looking out for no reason. 2.5. Yeah.
Well, if it talks like cheese and it walks like cheese, but it tastes like chocolate,
then you're a Greek without a paddle.
Then you're mad. Somebody's mad. I'm always angry.
I mean, both of what you said, I agree with.
Vengeance.
That's a wrong scenario.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
Doesn't talk like
2.5 for me.
Oh, I came in with a high rating. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
you're like, I was too generous.
Yeah, I know. I mean, all the things you guys said is the same. I wish it was, I don't know, one or the other, not cheesy, or chocolatey, one or the other. Like when I like cheesy things, like Cheetos or cheese puffs or things like that, great. That's perfect. Same thing with chocolate. I love it when it's chocolate coated. But if it's both, like I don't put cheese and chocolate together. I mean, I can't think of something where I've had cheese and chocolate together.
Like Chicago style popcorn is the only thing I can think of.
No, that's caramel.
It's caramel.
Yeah,
good call.
It's caramel and cheese, and that's
that's
good.
You guys
I like
were
that.
quick on the caramel. JJ was piping, man.
Yeah.
No, I like sweet and salty.
I never said that.
Yeah, you're right. That tracks. I'll take that off your Wikipedia page.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. I saw you updating.
Do we have Wikipedia pages? We could look that up. We should make
now.
one for the Janchi Show.
We should.
Sure. It's that time of year.
Is it? The donation time.
Yeah, the donation time. We'll donate.
Cheese, chocolate, 2 separate plates for me.
Yeah, I think they're 2 separate places. Other than that, you're right. It's not horrible. I don't hate it. And so it's like right in the middle for me, 2.5. So
I think I'm going to leave it at a 3 because I can taste the chocolate more than the cheese. And I just don't like the cheese. I like the chocolate boy.
For me, I can smell the cheese more than I can taste the chocolate. And that's what I don't like.
Man, that cheese smell was bad.
And then once it intermingles with your slightly sweaty fingers, and you're like, I'm going to wash my hands immediately.
Fingers sweaty?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
For what?
Bro, I don't know. Just living life. Get off my back.
All right.
You know what? Let's cut to the end of the episode. Nathan, where can they find you?
They can find me at
geez,
NLWalk
hard
on
left.
Instagram. Apparently,
Jeez.
I'm not going to talk about my hands
Jeez.
and the moisture. Continue. KJ?
What?
Okay. Well, that was all for the food portion. We're closing down the food portion now. If you want to find us and hear us talk about other food portions, you can do that at Janchi Show on all the social media platforms. If you have a question about the food portion at all, you can send us an email to janchishow@justlikemedia.com. If you're really mad and you want to have your voice heard about a food portion section, you can leave us a voicemail. Nathan, what's that number?
972-677-8867.
There you go. Leave us a voicemail. Tell us how much you love or hate that food portion. We love to hear it. If you're feeling so generous, we would love if you could leave us a rating or review wherever you can do that on your podcast player. You can even let us know about the food portion that you feel needs the most work.
I don't think
you want to hear
portion needs as much airtime.
Or, yeah, I was going to say, or if you want us to try a food.
Show, but yikes.
Tell us a food item to try. You know?
All right. If you want to find out food items to try, you can follow me at NNowalk on all the places that I want to be found.
He's the Asian one.
The other Asian one.
He's the other Asian one. No, you can follow me at Patrick in the World. Go try Kosume crackers. Somebody reached out to me the other day and said they wish that they could have a gluten-free cracker because they really want to try the Kosume cracker.
Yeah.
And I was like, I hope that they make a gluten-free one. So, Orion, was that who made that?
Jeez.
I believe so.
Yeah, go ahead.
Get on it.
Gluten-free. Nathan?
Find me at NNowalk on Instagram or Nathan Nowalk on Facebook.
Food to recommended food.
Recommended food. Oh,
Yeah,
if I
for
would
the
recommend one of the Korean foods, oh man, the one that we had last week, the maple corn.
Oh,
That
yeah, that
maple
was
corn
good.
thing. I'm still eating that. My parents liked it too. I
The
gave it to
maple
them.
corn, aka the buttered toast.
The
crust.
Yeah, that thing was good.
buttered
Buttered
crunch
toast.
toast. Yes.
That thing was so good.
Amazing.
I'm still savoring it.
I just ate some right before the show, and I was like,
Ah,
God, these are
nice.
so large. My jaw is not.
It hurts your jaw, for sure.
It's just I just have a small, and my mouth doesn't hinge open very wide. You can find me at KJ Relke wherever you want to be found on the internet. I also have a personal request. If you would, as you're listening to the show, just go to our Instagram page or whatever and share it to your platform of choice. That would be fantastic. This is the best way for our show to grow. For us to get new listeners, is just for you to be like, hey, I'm listening to this podcast and you should check it out. So please do that. Thank you in advance. I'm at KJ Relke on all the places I want to be found on the internet. My food recommendation is spicy shrimp crackers by
throwback.
Nongshim. Yep, that was episode 2. And they are so delicious. And I'm going to get some the next time I get to a market. So yeah. I
Love
think
it.
that's it, right?
That is
good.
it.
That is
Until next week in our next food portion, Janchi.
Janchi,
Heyo! Got it! I appreciate you hanging in there.
Amateur on the board.
Amateur on the boards.